What if the greatest obstacle between you and your dream is the way you see yourself? Most people aren't held back by their circumstances. They're held back by their self-belief. Let me ask you something personal. How many times have you said no to an opportunity? Not because you weren't ready, but because you didn't believe you were enough. Maybe it was that job you never applied for, the business idea you never pursued, the conversation you never started, the stage you never stepped on. Not because you weren't capable, but because you thought, I'm not good enough. And that right there, that quiet voice of doubt, is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It can shrink your dreams, mute your talents, and make you forget the fire that's always been inside you. But here's what they don't teach you in school. The world doesn't give you confidence. You build it by showing up even when you don't feel ready. Let me tell you a story. Story 1. The janitor who became a genius. There once was a man who worked as a janitor at a university. He cleaned lecture halls, scrubbed toilets, and mopped floors late into the night. Every day, he passed by classrooms filled with brilliant minds, professors discussing complex theorems, students debating philosophy, chalkboards covered in equations that looked like a foreign language. But this janitor? He had a secret. When no one was around, he'd sneak into the empty lecture halls and study the textbooks left behind. He'd write down notes, solve problems on his own, and challenge himself in silence. You see, he had no formal education, no degree, no validation. But what he had was something even more powerful: curiosity and a belief, just a flicker, that maybe, just maybe, he could learn. Fast forward several years, that janitor earned a scholarship, then a degree, then a master's, and eventually he became a professor in the same university he once cleaned. Not because the world handed him a break, but because he never underestimated the value of his mind, even when the world saw him as just a janitor. Story 2. The girl who dared to speak. Now let me tell you about Maya. Maya grew up in a tiny village where girls were expected to be quiet. Not opinionated, not ambitious, just quiet. But Maya was different. She loved asking questions. Why can't I become a writer? Why can't I speak on stage like the people I see on TV? The answer was always the same. That's not for girls like you. So for a while, she stayed silent. She buried her voice, but the stories in her head never stopped. One day, her school announced a storytelling competition. Her hands trembled when she signed up. The other kids laughed. You? You can't even speak properly in front of class. But that night, Maya wrote a story about a bird who forgot it had wings until it looked in the mirror and realized it was born to fly. When she stood on stage, her voice cracked, her knees shook, but she kept reading. By the time she finished, the room was silent. Not because it was unimpressed, but because it was moved. That day, Maya won. Not just the competition, but her confidence. She went on to become a celebrated author, inspiring girls around the world to find their voice. All because she stopped underestimating her own. Why we doubt ourselves. So why do we do it? Why do we shrink our greatness? Because somewhere along the way, someone convinced us that our value depends on titles, test scores, looks, or approval. But listen to me. Your worth isn't measured by external validation. It's measured by your willingness to grow, to try, to fall and get up again. You're not too old. You're not too young. You're not too late. You're not too broken. And you are absolutely not too ordinary to do something extraordinary. What you don't see in the mirror. You think you're just normal? Let me tell you what I see. I see someone who has overcome battles no one knows about. I see someone who's still standing after being broken. I see someone with dreams bigger than their fear. You might not see a warrior in the mirror, but that's only because you've been taught to look for flaws instead of strength. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than the labels they gave you. You are more than enough. The silent superpower. Do you know what the most successful people in the world have in common? It's not genius. It's not money. It's not perfect timing. It's belief. Belief that they can figure it out. Belief that they are worthy of trying. Belief that their dreams matter. Even when the world doubts you, don't doubt yourself. Even when the door closes, find a window. Even when no one believes, be the one who does. Because the truth is, no one else can play your role. So the next time you hear that little voice in your head whispering, "Who do you think you are?" you answer it with confidence. I'm someone who won't underestimate myself again. You're not here to live a small life. You're here to rise, to build, to inspire, and to prove to yourself that you were always more powerful than you believed. Don't underestimate your strength. Don't underestimate your journey, and above all, don't underestimate yourself. Thank you for watching this video. Like, share, comment your opinion. Subscribe to my channel now to receive great videos every day.